Hi guys, I'm General Sengar, and I'm back again with this book of mine, which is titled Maverick Leadership, Embracing the Power of Constructive Disobedience. Well, the last time I came with this book was when I spoke about the importance of constructive disobedience as an important leadership trait. But this time I'm here for another purpose, and that's an equally important thing, and that is about the civil servant, Pooja Khetkar, the IAS, and the entire issues and problems that lie with the civil services. In the chapter 13 of this book, I have carried out, in my perception, a thorough analysis of the civil services admission process and made concrete recommendations to fix the problem. Now, in 1947, Sardar Patel, when he was addressing the first batch of the IAS officers, he described bureaucracy, civil services, as the steel frame of India. Now, the public perception about the civil services is that it is a rusted steel frame. Now, why am I talking about the IAS civil services? What are my credentials? Well, let me tell you, I have some. I have dealt with civil services for more than 6 years. I was posted in a foreign mission for 3.5 years. I dealt with 3 embassies there and their staff. As the officiating head of the Director General of Mechanized Forces, I dealt with the bureaucracy in MOD. And for the last couple of years, I was involved with the training institutes who coach these UPSC aspirants. So I've seen that part as well. So rather than me saying something about it, let's see what the IAS officers themselves say about the IAS. And let's start with Dr. Duvri Subbarao, former IAS officer. He retired as the governor RBI. So you can see that he's an extremely experienced IAS officer. He's written an article which is titled, "Has the IAS Failed the Country? Yes, and it is not all politicians' fault. The service rewards mediocrity and risk aversion." And he makes many recommendations to improve the system. Right. Now he says many things which I've quoted in the book, but let me just mention a couple here. He says the public perception of the IAS today is of an elitist, self-serving, status quo perpetuating set of bureaucrats who are out of touch with reality, who wallow in their privileges and social status, and have lost the courage of conviction to stand for what is right. He cites an unnamed chief minister and says that he claimed that only 25% of the IAS officers are callous, corrupt, and incompetent. Another 50% have turned their jobs into sinecure, and only 25% can be relied upon to get the job done. Explaining further, he says that almost everybody gets promoted. Almost everybody gets outstanding grading and performance. As a result, there is no encouragement of talent and no penalization of laziness and corruption. Now let's come to another very courageous officer who speaks a mind whilst he's still in service, and that's what makes it very, very creditable. She's Dipali Rastogi of the 1994 IAS batch, and she wrote an article titled "The Belief System and Some Truths." And she writes a whole lot of scathing things which are in line with what other people and Dr. Subbarao has said. And let me just quote a few. She says, we are paid to manage things efficiently and create systems. In actuality, we thrive on mismanagement and chaos because that gives us the power to choose some over others. She goes on to say, we are supposedly the steel frame. In reality, we have no vision. We take ad hoc decisions looking at what the authority above wants us to do. Worst of all, we are the most pompous, officious, and ill-bred set of people. And we have the nerve to say we work for the people of this country. In reality, we have no stakes for this country. Our children often study abroad. We have created a niche cocoon of luxuries that this system can give us. And finally, she says, if there were any justice, we would have long been extinct. But we are too powerful to let ourselves be annihilated. Now, when the Pooja Khetkar case was raging wild on the media, in the Times of India, Times Now channel, there was a debate in which a retired IAS officer, I think his name was Arun Bhatia, he very categorically stated that IAS is the most corrupt organization in the country. That's what he said. And he says the rot runs deep. So the Pali Rastogi seems to be the rare shining rod in the rusted steel frame. Now, as it often happens, organizations which are manned by average minds, if the message is unpleasant, they shoot the messenger as well. And I have said that in my book, this book, that it's harder to fight your own system than to fight the enemy. And she was charged for violation of civil services rules of conduct. So there are other elitist civil service, IPS. You read about that all the time. DGP Mumbai case in 2021, he was suspended. Apparently he was hiding, running from his own people, and he was being inquired against by the CBI. Very recently, there was the Bengal car hospital case. You know the role of the police and how they failed in doing what they were supposed to do. Very lately, Bhubaneswar, the army officer and his fiancée were brutally treated. The most disconcerting is that a uniformed force can behave in such a brutal and indisciplined manner. Now, as an army officer, the question that comes to me is, my mind is, who is responsible? It's quite simple to suspend those people in the police thana, and that suspension really means nothing. But if a similar incident was to happen in the army, the responsibility and accountability will lie on the shoulders of the highest man in the hierarchy, and therefore it lies with the police IPS hierarchy of West Bengal. Because I'm sure this is not what is happening just in one police thana, it must be happening in a lot of police thanas, because that culture of indiscipline, irresponsibility has been allowed to prevail in that state. So, in my perception, based on my experience of seeing them function, there are three shortcomings in the selection process. The first shortcoming is that the selection process, which comprises written exam and interview, it's a process of eligibility and not suitability. People are allotted services based on the merit and reservation, and not on eligibility and aptitude, not on suitability and aptitude. The second is, in the entire process, there is no way of assessing a character. People are extremely well coached. They saw a whole lot of videos. They exactly know what to answer. Then they are answering right opposite of what they actually believe, simply because they know that is the answer that is going to get them marks. The second part is interview of 25 minutes. So you're selecting somebody on 25 minutes. I've conducted a whole lot of mock interviews, and I'm convinced that mock interview is another verbal test of knowledge. Somebody who's good communication skills and is prepared well will do well. There is no way in that 25 minutes that you can assess the character of this man. Now, in the actual interview, the interviewers come from all walks of life. There's civil services, academicians, some military, and people coming from everywhere. They have no formal training and assessment. Now, I want you to compare this with the selection of an officer who joins the services. The Army Services Selection Board is a time-tested process of assessing an officer over 5 days by different trained experts. And those experts consist of a professional trained psychologist, group testing officers, and interviewing officers. These officers go through proper training courses. Therefore, when they come there and do their job, they are trained to do their job. The candidates are assessed for all aspects of leadership qualities like character, integrity, and logical reasoning. Now, none of this happens in a UPSC exam. So I have made very concrete recommendations in chapter 13 of this book, and they're in great details. They're pretty long, so I won't go over the details. I will very briefly touch the concept. The first recommendation is that the selection this must also take place in a suitably modified manner, the way it takes place in the Services Selection Board, so that these aspirants cannot bluff the system because they've been coached to the last comma and full stop. A system where you can assess the character and personality traits of the aspirant so that you don't have large number of cases of character and integrity as you saw in the case of Ketkar. What I've recommended is a modified or a tweaked Agnivir concept, which is suitably tweaked to retain the suitable IS officer, and those who are not suitable or do not have the aptitude, have just come up because they have crammed the syllabus over 8 years. They get qualified based on whatever parameters, and they can be released, like we are talking of relieving 75% of the Agnivirs. So I've given the details how it should be done. Second thing is, as I said, suitability and aptitude. There are many examples. I have no time on this video to give the details, but you need to allot service based on suitability and aptitude and not on academics. So I've given here recommendations on how you could do that. Issue about character and integrity, which is most important. Many recommendations here. Today, the candidates in different categories can appear from 22 years to going as much as 40 years. And as long as you have the age, you can keep appearing. The syllabus never changes. There are no limitation to chances. So it's not really about brilliance, it's about perseverance. So the more you fail, the better chances you have of passing the next one. Now to sum it up, people talk of UPSC as the toughest examination. They talk of academic brilliance of people who get into UPSC. Let me tell you, much touted academic brilliance will not help. By itself, it means nothing, unless it is where character is the key, conscience is the watchman, and moral courage is the bulwark. President Rajagopalachari long back had said that take care of character and rest everything will follow. In the army, the one quality that we look for a leader is character and integrity. And in the entire selection process, there is no way that you are judging the character. Now, a lot of people would justify that what I'm saying is not correct. They'd give you an example that educators will tell you that in the general service paper, there are 2 papers on ethics, and you ask questions based on ethics in the interview. These are theoretical answers which are being given, theoretical questions being asked on a piece of paper, and people are replying. They exactly know what to reply. Therefore, that justification is not convincing unless you have a test, something based on the system of SSB, where SSB gets it right 90% of the time. You got to fix that problem. Academic brilliance, no good unless accompanied by character and integrity. So what I would recommend is that the powers that be and the people who are responsible, if we want to fructify the vision of our Prime Minister of a Viksit Bharat by 2047, you got to de-rust the rusted steel frame of India. You got to resurrect bureaucracy. And when their own officers in service are taking the risk and putting their career at risk to point out what is wrong, it is not the time to sack them. It is the time to listen to what they are saying, because constructive disobedience prevents fatal decisions. So do read my book in general, and also read chapter 13 in detail, and implement whatever that is possible. And I'm sure you'll have a bureaucracy which will transform the progress of our country. So thank you very much. Do get hold of this book. It's on Amazon, and you'll love reading it. Jai Hind.